Hi, my name's Elly Greaney and I'm the Commercial Director at Transition Partners. We're a tech recruitment consultancy with an office in Leeds covering the UK market and an office based in Berlin. I've worked within tech for the past 5 years and find the market fascinating. I'm really passionate about helping women not only get in tech, but really advance their career with an exciting industry that can provide endless opportunities. I love networking and finding out about other people's stories. I decided to set up the Journey of a Woman in Tech to share knowledge, wisdom, and hopefully have a laugh along the way. Feel free to get in touch on LinkedIn to see how you can get involved. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome to the Journey of a Woman in Tech. We are very excited to have Emily Harrison on the show. So Emily is the DevOps Service Delivery Manager, the chapter lead of that at Covea Insurance. So Covea Insurance, if you haven't heard of them, they are a they are the UK's underwriting business of a leading French mutual insurance group and offer commercial, motor, high net worth property and protection insurance. Back in 2017, Covea Insurance served over 1.9 million policyholders, and they generated 739 million in premiums. So that is amazing, shows you the scale of an organization. I'm obviously very familiar with Covéa because I have the luxury of working with this fantastic business. I've interviewed Philippa previously on the show, but so happy to have you here today. Hello, Emily.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Oh no, I'm so happy to have you here and find out about all of your story, your background. It would be brilliant then if we can start today, if you can give us a brief introduction into your current role and what you're up to at Covéa.
Right, so very recently, in the last year I joined Covéa. I originally joined to focus on the service transition piece, but very quickly we recognized that there was a lot more to do and a broader scope. So what we decided was to sort of change the role a little bit and focus more on the processes that benefit DevOps and going towards DevOps. And so that's when I went from going from Service Transition Manager to DevOps Service Delivery Manager. We, myself and my line manager thought, let's broaden the scope. Let's focus on DevOps because it's a great opportunity to build that capability and build that type of team and that type of thinking. We have a lot of amazing engineers that are already super keen on DevOps, and I just thought this is going to be a great connection and a bridge between the service side of things and the development side of things and the operation side of things, because service management kind of sits in the middle. So that's the scope that we decided to expand to.
What a great new challenge.
Oh yeah, honestly, it's fantastic. I'm loving every minute of it. So recently I've hired four service delivery leads, which are focusing on release management and environment management and all of the really amazing things that we need to bring into a DevOps world, the really good parts of service transition, and we're focusing on delivering that alongside our engineers, our delivery managers, and our operations managers. So it's really cool. It's quite exciting, and we're growing quite quickly.
And from what I hear, there's some really exciting plans on the agenda as well, which is amazing. It's such a great role, and there's so many interesting elements to it. But I'd love to start with your journey and how did you get into tech?
That's a good question. Funnily enough, I worked in the very beginning of my career. I worked for a large Canadian bank, and I had been. My very first full-time job was a runner on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and I was spending a lot of time on computers. That was my summer job, which bled into a service desk type role on the bond trading desk and the equity trading desk at this bank.
Oh my gosh. And if there's a service desk where you'd be under pressure, I can imagine.
Well, it was honestly, it was just to me and one other guy. And we were maintaining all the computers and the monitors and all of the telephony systems. And this is back in the day when they had these little black, they're called hoot and holler boxes that were direct lines to other banks and institutions. So we were maintaining a lot of that. It was crazy. It was so
I
much
cannot
fun.
imagine supporting a team of traders. That must have been.
No, seriously, honestly, when you're on the Toronto Stock, we're going off on a tangent here, but when you see these people on video clips of people on the stock exchange floor going like this and buy and sell and stuff like that, that's what it was like. It was so exciting. But that next step was working in this little tiny service desk, and I really got that sort of technology bug, and became very much focused on computers. From there, I had various other jobs in that sort of bond broking, bond trading world. And I got a secondment to work for the London desk for one of these companies. And I really got into the tech. I was really intrigued by how they were recording our calls on a tape. This was back in the day, like a long time ago. We're talking post 2000 here. And they were recording all of our trades on a tape. And I'm like, this is cool technology. That's how old I am. Anyway, so fast forward a few years, and I started seeing, a lot of electronic trading going on, and I went back to Canada and I got a job at a company called Bloomberg, which was an amazing organization.
Wow. Yeah.
And they were one of the, like Bloomberg and Reuters are two of the people that offer real-time pricing in that kind of market space in financial services. So I got a job, funnily enough, covering Canada, living out of Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
That was a great time. And then
how long were you in New York for?
I was in New York for just shy of 2 years. And then I got an opportunity to move to their London office to work in a team that we were building up their electronic trading capability. So I worked there for 6 years. Then I got poached by one of their clients, Barclays Capital, and helped build up their bond trading and swap trading capability. So I really got into that technology. I was a program stroke project manager at Barcat, and then it was weird because I just got the bug. That's when I bought my first computer, just started geeking out. Unfortunately, like as with everybody through your career, you have life-changing moments, and I lost my mom probably 2006. And that was one of those times where I thought, what the heck am I doing? And so I recalibrated.
And you were in London at the time.
Yeah. So I spent some time back in Canada after my mom passed away. And I recalibrated, and I thought, how much more do I want to be doing this?
Yeah.
So,
how much of a break did you take?
I think it was about a month. And then I started contracting as a project manager back in the city in London. And then I met my husband.
Oh, wow.
Amazing Yorkshireman.
Oh.
He's actually, I'll digress a little. He's actually probably one of the tallest men in Yorkshire.
How tall is he?
6'8".
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're a tall lady as well, right?
I'm 6 foot as well. So we're a really good match. And as of next week, we've been together, officially married for 10 years.
Lovely.
So I came up to Yorkshire and started contracting, and then I thought I really had this dream to be a teacher. And I was really weird.
I noticed that.
Random, but I had always had this dream, and I'd had this sort of what you call a calling. Yeah. So I had an opportunity to take a career break, and in 2010 and 2011, I got my PGCE for a secondary school ICT teacher. And met some incredibly talented teachers and incredibly awesome people, really authentic. Yeah. But then I taught for a term, and I realized wasn't what I'd expected it to be.
What about it wasn't what you expected?
It's difficult to say. It taught me so much about me as a human being and who I am. And it also taught me to be able to read people better. And I just felt like at the age that I did it, it was probably too late. I didn't think I would have enough energy than people that were 20 years younger than me doing it. And I didn't want to let the kids down. The kids were amazing. I taught at Halifax High for a term, and they were amazing. It's just the sometimes at that time there was a lot of confusion going on in the Department of Education, and it was just crazy. And I have the utmost respect and still defend every teacher on this planet, in this country, because it's just the hardest job on the planet.
Yeah.
So but it just wasn't for me.
Lockdown's been a really insightful, and from a teaching perspective, it's been a great opportunity, because teachers always they historically get a hard time from people. But I think lockdown has made everyone realise how valuable and how amazing they are at their job. So I can't wait to, I'm like writing down notes while we're talking, like delve into further about like your opinion of like IT and that kind of like grassroots stuff, like how we can increase in that. But first of all, let's hear the rest of your journey and how you got to where you are today. But
sorry, we were getting off on one, but honestly, it taught me a lot about myself. After that break, I decided, you know what, I really enjoyed delivering cool tech.
Yeah.
So I got this amazing contract job. It was a 1-year contract at this really small company in Shipley that does amazing things. It's in education technology. They build this.
Perfect.
So they build this incredible assessment.
BTL was it?
BTL.
Yeah,
amazing,
cool. Okay.
amazing company.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Doing amazing things. So I loved that. And that inspired me to get back into technology. And after I went there, I went to Yorkshire Building Society permanently. So I went back into the perm roles. And I was hired there as an e-commerce operations manager. So I was covering our e-commerce, sort of our web digital facing area, and facing into our IT service delivery area. So what we wanted to do was build that service management capability coming in and like a two-way dialogue. So I worked on that, and then I got an opportunity from a great guy at Yorkshire Building Society to work in their non-production environment world, which is basically building up test environments, and it's their systems needed a lot of management in that, being able to build that technology up. So as a project manager and a delivery oriented person, I thought this is a great opportunity to get more technical. So, spent a lot of time working with Oracle database guys, spent a lot of time working, understanding how their back end worked, working in the whole, what we were talking about was building out the digital capability and transforming the e-commerce side as well. So worked on their web and mobile program, and I absolutely loved it. And that was really, really great for me, because I'd always thought that I wasn't a developer, but I always was really geeky and technically oriented. So it inspired me. And lo and behold, an opportunity arose I interviewed for a role at Sky, and that's where I met Philippa. She and John Saunders interviewed me. She was scary, but I've since known that, I've since got to know her, and she's amazing. But she was, in that interview, she was really, really good, and great direct questions. But I was like, okay, do you want me to be really honest?
I can imagine that actually in an interview. I think Philippa would probably make me sweat. They
asked me some amazing,
professional,
amazing questions. But then there were some real zingers, and I'm like, do you want me to be really honest? And I just sort of went. And she was like, wow, that's a good answer, that kind of thing.
Who was that with Philippa, and you said who else interviewed?
And John Saunders.
Right, okay, yeah.
Lots of really, really great guys. So I got the role, which Sky Sports Delivery Manager, and I was super excited.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Because you're into sports as well, right?
Yeah, I'm totally a sport fan as well. So it fit, and I loved it. Unfortunately, they were going through a round of redundancies, and I was the last person in. So that sadly didn't last longer than 6 months. But after that, went to Equifax and built up their service design and service transition with a real focus on shaping it around Agile, because they were transforming to Agile and really focusing on the non-functional operability requirements for.
And they had a really successful transformation, Agile transformation.
Yeah. So a lot of their transformation was, obviously building up the operations operations capability, but there was also the delivery capability, and the service team were sort of squished in the middle. And so what we wanted to do was be that really good at making sure the environments were built the way they needed to, but also bringing the release in slowly, and it's like landing a plane.
Yeah.
So that was where I got really addicted to that whole agile service management capability, and building that thinking and that research up. I worked there. Sadly, the guy that hired me left. Great guy. He went somewhere else, and then they went through a round of redundancies, and I left just before that and went to their competitor, TransUnion, as Agile Delivery Manager.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That was a great bunch of people, really capable. We were responsible. I was working in the team that was responsible for delivering the open banking solution for TransUnion.
Cool.
Some really talented, capable developers and testers. And I miss them. They're great people. I just was, I was there for 6 months. We rolled out what we needed to roll out. And then this meeting with Covéa. And I'm like, this is an interesting opportunity.
Was it through Philippa then? Oh, no, it wasn't. It was
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I had sort of lost touch a little bit with Philippa because she was really, really busy at Morrison's. I'd sort of spoken to her occasionally. And then,
Zoe.
Yeah, I was sort of like brain bubble. Zoe got in touch and said there's a great role. It was a service transition manager role. And I said, that sounds interesting, but I'm not sure. And I said, I'm really happy at TransUnion. Anyway, so she said, just come in and meet Wendy. So I went in and met Wendy, and Mick was there, and they interviewed me, and the rest is history.
Amazing. And how long have you been with Covéa for now?
Since September 30th of last year, and loved every minute of it, honestly.
So it's interesting because you've really done like a whistle-stop tour of some big brands in Yorkshire, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, lots of amazing people.
I would consider myself a global citizen because obviously I was born in Canada, lived in New York, traveled to the Far East for work and stuff like that. But I really do love living in Yorkshire. It suits me. All of the outdoors. It's just.
Whereabouts do you live in Yorkshire?
Over near Saltaire.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So it's like the gateway to just about anything. And, you can be in half an hour, you can be in the lakes, it's crazy. It's just so beautiful. And that's what, for me at this part of my career, I feel really happy that I could get this really great balance of being able to get on my bike and just go with my, I have to get a mention in with my cycling club, the Queensbury Queens. They're awesome, but an amazing bunch of ladies that
gosh, I imagine there's some hills over that way.
Well, that's why they were called Queensbury Queens of the Mountain.
There we go. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, and that's really brought the whole coming to Yorkshire to life, because I met some amazing, inspiring Yorkshire lasses. They even call me the Canorkshire lass.
In Yorkshire, really? That's a good one, isn't it? It's so we are really fortunate, like you say, we live in a beautiful place, and there's so many great places a short drive away, but also we have the opportunity that so many fantastic brands work here, and we get to work with some brilliant organizations in tech, which is
I don't want to go back to London. I love visiting it, but it's lovely being up here.
Yeah, same here. I love going to London, but then it's nice to come back, isn't it? And I like the fact that Leeds is only small, so when I walk around, I know. And I'm from Cornwall, and I still know people, so it's still nice to be able to kind of like, I guess have that little bubble, isn't it? Which is so lovely. Yeah. Couple of things then. I mentioned I definitely wanted to go back to that short stint you did within teaching, but how do you think your background in teaching helps with your current role?
I believe that through that and my experience working with Philippa and John, I became a better listener. And I lean in more, make sure I'm,
engaged,
focused. That, because I really absolutely appreciate if you don't listen to children, you have to listen to children. They might not make the most sense all the time, but just people in general, you need to listen to them and understand and ask. And it's so important. And interestingly enough, with this lockdown, it's so important to look people in the eyes and have conversations and talk to each other. Because one of the things that when someone writes something, you can read tone into it. And I've learned that the hard way and also the good way, that it's really important to listen and talk. And that's, and that's from the teaching side of things. It's also about having empathy for people, because you don't know what's going on in their head and what's going on in their life outside of school or outside of work. So it's really important to listen and empathize. And the one thing that I said in a previous virtual situation, I said, you got to be able to establish your trust bubble. That's one thing that's so important. You know who to trust.
Yeah,
so definitely something I've learned.
I think particularly the past couple of months in lockdown, like that whole listening and supporting and being engaged with one another, reading tone is so important. And I don't know whether maybe as women we naturally we do worry more, don't we? Like we're intrinsically, like we're made to worry more because
we're built that way.
yeah, exactly. But for me personally, that's something that I really battle with, is I always read things the wrong way, and then I'm like, oh my God, they hate me, or like we all do it. And you need to just chill out, take a big deep breath and think about that, and just ring people when and where you can. Like I have never been an email warrior, maybe because my spelling's horrendous. I always rather speak to people, but yeah, I think even more so during current times, it's way more important, and particularly as a leader, to pick up the phone and check in on your staff. So yeah, what about obviously your stint in teaching as an IT teacher was 10 years ago now, right? You said 10 years ago. So it's probably changed a lot since then. So it might be hard to give an accurate answer, but like, what do you think we can do and the curriculum can do to help encourage more diversity in tech? And what did you think back then, and hopefully now it's been sorted, but what tricks are we really missing to help increase that?
Ooh, I like that question. I just think naturally, women, having seen it in secondary school, I think that basically I see that a lot of secondary school students didn't really the women didn't buy, or the girls didn't buy into things like coding club or anything like that. It's just not. I wish I'd had that opportunity. I did have opportunities in high school to go and work in the computer labs, but it was all about gaming. So if we can connect that, particularly right now in the virtual world, if we can connect that gaming, fun, learn team tactics through to children in even primary school, and because when you think about it, how many kids have tablets right now? So access to tablets, it's like that whole gamification, it was starting to happen when I was teaching, but in actual fact we need to make ICT more fun for girls. Focus on gamifying their world and bringing them in, but also and I hate to promote this because they are a bit kooky, but even the Kardashians, they have like apps and stuff, and that's kind of appealing to young women. So inspiring them that way, somehow making that connection. I don't want to sort of pigeonhole girls and women into that sort of
I know what you mean. Like as a kid, I never used to go on my computer, but the one game I went on was when you could like dress up a Barbie in different clothes. And I'm not saying I'm not
so
promoting.
There you go. That I'm not a girly girl. I own it. I'm not a girly girl. Every video game that I still have at my age of is all about I play tennis on my Wii. I got into Fortnite with a friend of mine who's the same age as me, because her son taught her Fortnite, and we have a great time. So it's
but that's not for everyone, is it? Like what you're saying,
but making it social, making it empathetic to people, what they want, and gamifying it, because everybody loves a good game. It's like recently there's a lot of quizzes that we were doing virtually on Zoom, and make it like that, make it fun, that it appeals to everybody, both boys and girls.
And like you say, right now, lockdown, everything being remote and virtual, is a bit of an
opportunity. Now's the opportunity to pick it up and run with it.
And I think actually probably your background going into teaching, you probably, because you were a successful program manager and you'd done this and you'd done that, you would probably be able to, I can imagine as a teacher teaching a diverse classroom, you were probably able to bring it to life and bring it to a career. And that's something that it feels like is missing sometimes, like to be able to talk about different aspects of tech rather than just, you know, do you know what I mean?
I agree. So one of the things that the kids used to say is they'd ask me more about my background. Now, obviously, everybody wants to know about the teacher, that crazy accent that the teacher has. But it's all about making it personal to a certain extent. You know, you have to protect your professional identity as a teacher, definitely. But it's also making it real and making them understand what they can do with it, and showing them that ICT is a gateway to a lot of things. ICT isn't just computers anymore. It's absolutely, you know, it's about, interestingly enough, and I'm glad we've kind of gone off on this direction. One of the things that when I was starting to do, I was going to do a master's in teaching, was what I wanted to research more was about digital scholarship. And at that time, they presented digital natives are children that were born at a certain point where they are born with, you know, and they basically get tablets at a very young age and understand tech. Like my best friend's niece just goes like this, just, you know, and she's got an iPad and everything. So it's,
see 1-year-olds, don't you? And you think, bloody hell.
Exactly. So they're digital natives, and myself at my age, I'm a digital immigrant in that I had a real passion for it and went in up to my neck in it and just said, I want to embrace this and learn it and learn this culture, this digital culture. So I think we need to be selling that concept at the grassroots level in primary school, and bringing people on this digital journey with us, because now that we're in lockdown, it's really the relevance of it and the importance of it is key, absolutely key.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's so easy, isn't it, to see kids in restaurants on these iPads and stuff like that. But then, like, it's things like I was listening on the news today about schools. This morning I was listening about like children having opportunity to do their homework, and you've got plenty of kids who have got a spare office to go and sit in and go and do their work, but then you've got plenty of kids who are a family of 5 other children and they got one iPad between 5 of them, and they've all got homework to do. And like, the hardest thing is leveling that playing field and really giving the opportunity. So if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear.
Wow. I could go off onto a political rant, but I won't. But wouldn't it be great if we as a culture, and I say we because I am Canorcher and British as well, wouldn't it be great if we as a culture had a minimum standard that every household had? You know, if we provided broadband into every household, or some kind of internet connectivity. But we have to also teach kids and adults as well about internet security, about, you know, about addiction. So it's a whole new world, and it's the digital education. You know, I would love the Department of Education to rewrite it, so that rewrite the script. So that's what we were talking about, because it's so important that we manage our digital connections healthily. Because definitely. That impacts both mental and physical health.
100%. It's like a double-edged sword, right? It's kind of like, this is so great and gives you access to communication, but you can feel so isolated at the other end of it as well. So there's so many different things that we could go on and on.
Yeah, totally. And I've got my phone over here, but it's turned down, so I'm not looking at it.
If someone was considering a move into tech later in life, what would your one top tip for that be?
Oh my God. There are so many free courses online right now. If you can get online and just hoover it up, spend the time. You know, if you're on furlough or you sadly have been in a situation where you've lost your job, absolutely get online. And one of the things that I've seen recently on TV was, I don't know whether it was an Open University or something. It was an ad where a guy had completely transformed his career by going online, learning and teaching himself how to be a developer, an engineer. And now he's, you know, an entry-level engineer and working to a whole new career. So take
There's
the
a lot
opportunity.
actually of the courses that are doing like 2-week free trials and stuff at the moment, which
Absolutely.
is a great way to spend 2 weeks and see if you can commit to 2 weeks and you like it.
Exactly.
Then it's worth the investment, isn't it? And that's the thing.
Totally.
There's so many different avenues and options now which do make that easier, but sometimes a lot of them are just to be a developer, or
True.
and that can be quite challenging, I think, when there's so many other.
There are some places that are specifically focused on technical skills, but if you look at you know, sites like LinkedIn and LinkedIn Learning and all the various, that there's a lot of good, really great project management things. Even some firms, we're doing some, you know, we're doing some connections with Academy, and I've seen other companies around Leeds do that as well. What else was there? And I also recently found out through someone who I've just hired, is that the government has different levies where you can ask your company if there's an opportunity for you to take a university course on the government levy. And they have funding for that. And a lot of times it's not spent. So I'm like, wow, that's great. As a lifelong learner and a digital immigrant, I'm like, get in, this is great. It's an opportunity that I think is really untapped. And if you've got people that are just starting their career, they can actually, the company invests in you and you would give it back to the company. And that to me is just awesome. Really, really
I think actually, like right now, this period, the next year, 2 years, we are going to see so many people from such interesting backgrounds take that move into tech. And
absolutely.
Right now is the time for it. If you're at home and you're being furloughed and you're not happy doing what you do, then this is an opportunity. Like, to spend the time, do some research, reach out to people, and they will help. Like, that's the thing. Our culture, our tech community is so welcoming. I think it's just
it's like a big bear hug.
It's 100%. Weirdly, actually, I went to the dentist last week. I've just had a brace fitted, which is why I think my podcast sounds different to usual. But I had I'm getting married in 6 weeks. I've had a brace fitted, and the dentist was telling me that he's considering a move to be a data engineer. So I was speaking to him about that, and I was like, wow, like if a dentist is considering, that's a big old move, isn't it?
That's a big move.
Yeah, and it was really interesting how can he does Python development from university, and he can still do it at home anyway. And I was like,
and he's a dentist.
Give me a call.
That's cool. But when you think, I go to the dentist, and it's like, it's way more tech than it used to be. Way more tech.
Yeah,
what they do.
Really, so yeah, no, I think what we've got here is a real opportunity. Now, your role covering the service piece and the DevOps piece. Now, we all know there is a huge shortage of diversity in DevOps. What can we do about that?
Honestly, I don't know. I think we've talked about, you know, getting in the education piece, offering more opportunities. I mean, if we're speaking specifically about women, because it is very, very much a, you know, just as matter of fact numbers, there are a lot more men in IT. But if women have that sort of interest, maybe go out to universities, focus on the education and looking at opportunities to go out and sell women in technology into university. And I think we are already doing that, but make more of a drive and have more specific opportunities. I'm very much, you know, a person that it's hire the best person for the job.
Yeah.
So, and that's make it a level playing field. So it's a really good question. How do we make it a level playing field for everybody?
Do you think it's with DevOps then, like looking at different avenues that lead into DevOps?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Historically it was networking that then moved into DevOps. Now it's development moving into DevOps. So hopefully that should open up more doors longer term, right?
Well, I'm not a developer by trade. I come from more of a delivery agile background and service background, but I absolutely adore and 100%, 1000% committed to DevOps, because I think of all of the efficiencies, and I'm very much like find the fastest way to get something done efficiently and of good quality. So for me, that's where I came from and totally embraced DevOps in like 2012. Yeah. But that was more a personal journey. Now I'm just loving the fact that I'm in like the most ideal job for me to focus on inspiring people in our chapter and leading people in our chapter and doing something pretty amazing at Covéa, which I'm super grateful for.
It's really great.
Yeah.
What about what's been the best piece of advice you've ever been given? That could be in life, in your career. What's the one bit of advice that you think's really helped you on your journey?
It's a really good question. Find your trust bubble.
Yeah. Find
your trust bubble.
Yeah.
No.
One of my I saw something before, and it was all about, like, it was a not a webinar. It was an event that I went to, and it was all about, like, finding your tribe, and it's about having the right people. And that was, like, to me, that, like, resonated so much. It was like, we need sponsors.
I feel like this job and the amazing people I work with at Covéa, I feel like I've found my tribe.
That's so lovely. It's so important, because the right people around you really can achieve anything. And if you're not if anyone out there is not in the right environment, they're not supported by their colleagues, they're not championing one another, then don't stay there. You do not need to stay there. So there's so much opportunity out there. It's just finding the right person to speak to, the right support group. There's so many different, I mean, if anyone wants any support on it, you can reach out to me, but I'm involved with so many different support initiatives around that. So, like, there's definitely people we can put you in touch with as well, because you need the right support around you to help propel your career. You're not going to be able to do it on your own.
No, that is absolutely true. You have to go out and ask the questions and reach out. Things aren't always going to come to you, and particularly for me, because I'm born in a different country. I came over here with no family, and 5,000 miles away is my immediate family and my best friend and all my amazing high school friends and stuff like that. But I had to make a whole new life for myself. So if I sat there and waited for things to happen, I'd be back in Canada now. And as much as I love Canada, I would never move back. But I had to make my own life. So I had to ask the questions and ask the question why.
You have to put yourself out there, right? And it's not easy for
Don't be afraid.
Yeah,
don't be
obviously
afraid.
It's a bit easier for people like me and you though, Emily, because we're naturally quite, like, confident, right?
I'm an introvert by nature.
I would never have said that meeting you today.
Oh yeah, I'm the youngest of 3 very strong-willed women, and really? I used to hide behind my mother as a kid. So I was born an introvert. I've just somehow through moving abroad got out of the shadow and became myself. So I was born an introvert.
It's interesting, isn't it, when you put yourself out of your comfort zone? Like, I've always been fairly, to be honest, I was always, like, into dramatics as a kid, and, like, do you know what I mean?
Oh God, no. I was always the cheerleader in the background, but I'm not shy in that I can be loud and get my point across. But no, I developed more confidence in high school, being in sports and stuff like that. But as you go,
and travel does that so well.
Exactly. But
you have to speak to people if you're on your own.
Yeah, I had some amazing sport coaches and inspiring PE teachers that I'm still in touch with today. From high school, and they really they taught me about being part of a good team. And for me, team and tribe, they kind of are synonymous, and you can't do it on your own.
And I think we need more of that to be able to get more diversity at C-level. That's what we need. We need to support each other. We need to sponsor each other. And that's just, super important. Yes. So really glad you brought that up. Who has been your greatest role model?
Oh, tricky one.
I asked this question, but I hate it. Someone asked me.
Who I wouldn't. I don't have a specific role model, but my best inspiration is my best friend in Canada.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Why do you take so much inspiration from?
Because she's from the age of 21. She's been very much dealing with struggling with a heart condition. So she's it's amazing that she's made it to the age that we're at now. So
wow, yeah. Sounds pretty inspirational to me.
She's awesome.
Oh, good stuff. So, I'm going to finish today with some words of wisdom.
Uh-oh.
If you could go back to that time when you were teaching and go back to the kids, and you could give one bit of advice to people, not just women, everyone and anyone that wants to start a career in tech, and you could like go back, or if you'd have gone back, and what would you have said to yourself to help move things along?
Keep asking why.
Yeah.
Don't give up. I think one of the two things that my mom left me with was keep being brave and seize the day.
Seize the day, 100%. Exactly.
Yep.
And I think through the times we're going for now, we've got to keep thinking as well, like there's always something great around the corner.
Oh, absolutely. You got to think positive. You can't be glass half empty.
Yeah.
Because you'll just proactive, glass half full, keep asking why, and just be brave.
I actually watched that, that Michelle Obama thing on Netflix the other day.
Love her.
Yeah, it was amazing. But the thing that resonated the most with me is when she was talking about, like, she was speaking to a group of young women, and they were talking about the like tribulations that they were going through, and it sounded pretty tough. I think it was like a young Mexican girl that she was speaking to. And she was going to college and working full time because she was the oldest of 4 kids, I think. And that Michelle was saying that it's like stories over stats every time. And what you're going through right now and the hardest times in your life, they are your stories. Yeah. And that to me was like, wow.
It's true. It's true. And your friends are there. Like you pick the friends that make you feel like you're part of their family. Because that, knowing that I'm 5,000 miles away from a best friend and the family, I've picked friends here that are like my family.
Yeah, so important, isn't it?
100%.
Amazing. I have loved having you on the show.
It's been great fun. Thank you very much.
So much fun. So thank you so much. Emily, if anyone wants to reach out for any questions, is it best if they get in touch on LinkedIn, Twitter?
I don't use my Twitter as much. It's but I do love it. It's more a personal thing. So yeah, LinkedIn for sure.
Amazing. Also, if anyone is looking for an opportunity to head down that DevOps route and wants to find more about it, Emily's going to be recruiting pretty heavily over the next coming months. So looking forward to helping you on that, and hopefully get some more diversity into DevOps, which
absolutely
would be fantastic.
The unicorns.
yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you so much everyone for tuning in to the Journey of a Woman in Tech podcast. See you next week.
Thank you.